Abusia barely 1 month ago, and a child because so our prophet Nigel Gaisie, I sorry them or Nana child panel, Efra expose be a course so some time ago, I want a tour. Na wafa kakra koche mo se expose or koye ye no. Prophet Isaac Bempah and a share the chief, a man koka sans and the Busia sans and we did say, when the Muslim Danity and there, sans of the Messiah Aquafa and say, and somebody told you, and Ghana for the donor and the chair of margin, if you want to better say, we know. Sentence here, Prophet Nigel Gaisie, and then Abofrano, if you so chair say, Eviana, and yes, sentence, and and Abofrano bar. Walk on Emma, Prophet Isaac Bempah, the junior pastors no efforts now, great show, so Ebe explosive Prophet Nigel Gaisie in another form of more chair say, Kakra no Eddie, Eba, Prophet Owusu Bempah, Ebe chair say, and you may be a possible no any Prophet Nigel Gaisie in some idea, Enko Yen, and no, they buy more crampono, Eshel de Prophet Nigel Gaisie, and I won't per se. The whole Ebba man, I said, the two bed, the hours are fine. So I said, and then Kaka no about one say, Ebba can say that, and yes, sir, and some no at the end of the some better than another one. I shall find, say a dear and a prophet Isaac Owusu Bempah, Ebba Becca, Edia Fauna, and I'm no say, prophet Isaac Owusu Bempah, about one say, Ebba, prophet Nigel Gaisie. The Busiana no yen na watch say, what has any or ye papa, and now we yam at the door, prophet Nigel Gaisie, and then. Prophet Nigel Gaisie about one say I will say I any ye for the Busia prophet Isaac Owusu Bempah actually a pioneer kakra fast to ban ho any naked pictures I would better no any baby are somebody free any baby as some about the draw no prophet Isaac Owusu Bempah a born Nigel Gaisie home by one police for ancient and anyone was say a prophet Nigel Gaisie about was saying the Busia means so when my uncle now young could say prophet Isaac Owusu Bempah and someone or back kind of could say the edifice and some now. A true good than one. I must say, yeah, for no me subscriber to so at the amount of too much. Jano Kaise, what the girl never counts on upload to the first person. Yeah, once a big character.
The danger of turning against your covering.
The theme for the message is the danger of turning against your covering.
Young funny say, me starting your way tetai. Fashion trim and I am funny say, me starting ye na. O dear. Kakra bi na wate onte ase but enemi pese nia wate nyina fato nche ne tie we pa.
Now let's assume that since I started preaching this about 3 weeks ago, you have heard very little, or you might not have understood anything you have heard. I am urging you to pay utmost attention today and listen carefully to what you are about to hear today.
It is strange,
but it is strange. That your own son, whom you have brought up, you have fed him, it will get to a time in his life that he would have a desire to kill you and terminate your life. Listen to this. Your own child you have brought forth. He was brought forth from your own loins, out of your own loins. You took care of him from the day of his birth. You have spent money on that child. You have showed love to that child. And now the child grows up to a certain age that the life of this child ought to be useful for you, whether you are a mother or father. But the usefulness tends to become something else. So instead of he or she taking care of you, the support that child ought to give to you, this child turns around to become an adversary who wants to kill you and take your life. Take your life before your appointed time for death.
Very serious.
Now this is a very serious situation.
Now,
Are there people like this around?
Enye se o papa ye beifuo.
Not that your father is a wizard.
Wasusu da ye hu so de ne beye bekum.
And you have seen him in your dreams that he wants to kill you with his witchcraft. Or that your mother is a witch and wants to kill you with witchcraft. Rather, that parent is one that loves you and seeks your welfare. That parent is seeking your progress and your greatness. But you pay your parent back with evil for the good they have done. This is a great curse.
Bible say,
it is for this reason the Bible says, honor your father and mother. That God will cause your days to be long on earth and he will bless you. Now have it at the back of your mind that come what may, you will love your father and mother. And keep them in your heart. Now something valuable and precious is when a father blesses a child. What is precious is when a mother who carried you for 9 months and brought you forth prays for you, blesses you, and supports you with her spirit. When you pray, God hears you. But your mother, who is a Christian, when she prays for you, God hears her prayer faster than yours. Your father, who is a believer, when he prays for you, God hears his prayer faster. That is why in ancient days, in the Old Testament, before every father died, he blessed his children. Now do everything you can to receive blessings from your parents before they die. Now today, I am teaching you a secret you might not have paid attention to. And I'm trying to make a point. Sometimes go to your father and say to him, Father, bless me. Treat your father well. At other times, go to your mother and say, Mother, bless me. Treat your mother well.
Absalom. So David no Absalom number one.
Now Absalom was number one of the children of David that David loved most.
Na Absalom
but Absalom allowed himself now he craved for power which God had not given to him. He wanted to elevate himself to a certain level that he was not qualified for. It was the level of fathers. It was not, he he was unable, he didn't have the capacity to handle affairs in that level.
But also no pay.
But he determined to get to that level.
Any friend ahomaso.
Now that is what we call pride.
Any pony
and envy or jealousy.
Open position.
You covet the position of your leader. Even though what God, the assignment God gave your leader has not come to an end. Like I said to you,
a spirit of Absalom.
When that happens, it is the manifestation of the spirit of Absalom. Now, in that situation, you are rebelling, or you will rebel against your head. When you get possessed with this spirit of Absalom, you are standing within the circles of Satan. So God sees you as the devil. The angels of God and the spirits of God see you as the devil.
Because devil can say, "Me lift me throne above the throne of God."
Because it was the devil who said that I will lift my throne above the throne of God.
And
do not ever conceive this thought.
So head
that a man or the person God has made the head over your life, you will take his position from him. When that happens, all divine spirits rise against you. Now Absalom said, the time for me to kill my father is up. And he gathered men, strong men. He gathered elders and men of wisdom. And he selected these men from his father's kingdom, that he will form an alliance with them, so he will be able to rebel against his father.
Or building a kingdom.
He was building his kingdom within his father's kingdom.
Loved ones.
He was going to win the heart of his father's loved ones. He was determined to do something very offensive, which would offend his father, that would break his father's heart, and his father would die by the stress of what he has done.
Advice.
Now all these plans were put together from the advice of Ahithophel. Ahithophel said, your father, if you want your father's position, this is the best strategy, so that we can kill him through burdens and worries and stress. We will not go with a gun. We will not go with an arrow.
But my plans.
But listen to my counsel.
Advice.
Listen to this counsel.
Ahithophel.
That was Ahithophel. He said, Absalom,
gather
your father's wives and concubines,
build a platform and
build a platform at a conspicuous area of Israel. Publicly sleep with your father's wives and concubines publicly.
Ahithophel advice.
This was Ahithophel's counsel.
Now old man, your papa no who are stressing tea.
Now, if your father sees you doing what I have advised you to do, he will die out of stress. He was going to kill him softly, kill him without an arrow. So he intended to kill his soul so that the death of his soul will manifest. And Absalom hearkened to that counsel and he did it. Nothing happened to David.
Another realm.
Now Ahithophel said, now let's move to another realm.
You
see, that guy who is your father called David, you must kill him. The hand of the Lord has withdrawn from him. He is not governing this nation well. He is not organizing things. His administration is poor. I am his confidant. I am his good friend. I am in his close circles. I know what I'm talking about. The hand of the Lord is rather upon you. You are the one who has the position now. The Lord has given it to you. Kill him. Let's do this.
12,000.
Give me the permission. Let me gather 12,000 strong men, soldiers.
Absalom,
hear my counsel. My name is Ahithophel. Your father's success is on my shoulders, and I want you to succeed too.
Now
I will lead the troop of 12,000 men. I know your father's hideout. Your father is a skillful guy. So if we do not attack him when he is off his guard, it is unlikely we will get him.
Because
his men are also strong.
Ahithophel physical things destroy David. But none referee say David will nyame.
Now Ahithophel had forgotten. Ahithophel was fixated on the physical approach he would use to finish David's life, but he had forgotten that David had a God.
Planning physical things against me.
Do not be afraid of that person that plans physical methods.
Because Christ, the anointed one, with you.
You have Christ, the anointed one, with you. Now Ahithophel failed to recognize. He was only looking at the outward things, but he forgot about the God David has. He did not take a moment to contemplate about the relationship and covenant David had with God. Now every time when you have odds against someone and you look at the person, if you just look at the physical appearance of the person and you think that you are able to defeat that person,
very careful.
you must be very careful,
because
you do not know the spirit with that person, and you don't know the spirit backing the person. So be careful.
It's a way and then kwesi dey e course so prophet Isaac Owusu Bempah na sorry dem ho afraid you one kasa abetu na numu to e dey afa ensem ho. Ye try say prophet Nigel Gaisie e wo bi ba be kan fa ho ana say hinansemi e besam bo akwa kodu na be fi ba bia na busu be sa ba na ye de aba be so na say we just comment section ho e de aba me all the social media handles no too much gh what subscribe like ya share na people so in the share akra